Hmm. What is this? Something's wrong. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanyamanobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलाम् आपदामपहर्तारं दातारं सर्वसम्पदां लोकाभिरामं श्रीरामं भूयो भूयो नमाम्यहम् दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजाः पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्. We're moving each week through Sundara Kanda. And if you notice, I'm also going chapter by chapter. Once in a while, I do 2 chapters together. And the reason for slowing down is I'm just following Valmiki Rishi's method here. And we've said this or discussed this previously, that if you look at the entire Ramayana, Balakanda spans about, I would say, 12 or 12 years of Sri Ramachandra's life. Ayodhya Kanda also spans 12 some years, give or take. Aranya Kanda spans almost 13 years, maybe a little bit more than 13 years. Sundara Kanda pretty much spans, actually Kishkindha Kanda spans a certain amount of time, about 13 months, not 13, 10 months by the time Sri Hanumanji comes. And the entire Sundara Kanda spans no more than a couple of days. And then similarly, Yuddha Kanda spans less than a month, almost just about 2 months, because Ramachandra returns to Ayodhya exactly the night before or the night of the completion of 14 years. So Sundara Kanda is the Kanda where Valmiki Rishi just slows down. And we don't get a fast account of things. We get very minute by minute, because it's the most pregnant, most poignant and significant Kanda, both from a rasa, then a tattva perspective, and then practical applications from a dharmic or a story wise. So it has slowed it down. And that's what we're doing. So we're in chapter 28 of Sundara Kanda. This is after Trijata has explained what the dream she had about Sri Ramachandra, Sita Devi, and Lakshmana. And she also mentioned the dream in which Ravana, Kumbhakarna, and all of his associates were dragged down to the southerly direction on a chariot drawn by donkeys, and that they had fallen into a pit of cow dung. Their bodies were smeared with oils and not so pleasant situation for them. Yet Sita Devi, who's not necessarily with the Rakshasis per se when Trijata is speaking, she is contemplating how horrendous her situation continues to be and whether or not it is worth living at all. In fact, she is going to consider giving up her life. But she is a very dharmic person. She follows the rules for mankind. So she considers, is that something wrong? Because suicide is, at least from a Manu Samhita perspective, from the Vedic idea, suicide is considered a crime, karmically speaking. So what is her reasoning for giving up or coming to the decision for giving up her life? And that's what we're going to see today. So, sa rakshasendrasya vacho nishamya tad ravanasya apriyam apriyarta. Sita vitrasa yatha vanante simha vipanna gajaraja kanya. Valmiki starts off with a fantastic analogy that Sita Devi has heard some very unpleasant words that Ravana has spoken. And that has caused all of this distress in her heart. And she's going through a range of emotions, the primary one being sorrow, agony, that she is separated from Sri Ramachandra. And this fellow Ravana has threatened her. Tad Ravanasya apriyam apriya artha. Artha is the distress from a very unfavorable fellow, apriyam Ravana, and apriya vachana. What is Sita's condition? So Valmiki is considered the king among poets, and also the first one ever to write something with analogies. He's called the Upama Raja. That there is nobody in this world who can come up with analogies that are so befitting and so beautiful that it gives a vivid picture of reality and circumstances. So we'll hear so many Iva like this, Iva meaning just like. These are all similes. So he says Sita's condition was like Simha Abhipanna Gajaraja Kanya. Gajaraja Kanya, a small she baby elephant that has lost the rest of its herd, and Simha Abhipanna, that has now been ambushed by a lion. Lion is a predatory animal. An elephant is a very docile animal when it is within a herd, and that too a little baby. Elephant babies, if you've seen videos, they're very, of course, they're very cute, but they're very clumsy. They're not so strong necessarily, and they're very clumsy about themselves, and they're very frightened. So they always stick to the older ones. But when that little baby is separated from the entire herd, then she becomes very scared. And Vana Ante, inside the forest, when she's ambushed by a lion. So this Sita Devi, who was encircled by all these demonesses, she was constantly, repeatedly being humiliated by Ravana's cruel words and the Rakshasi's threats. Valmiki tells us now that she was like a young girl that was all deserted in the forest by herself. Kantara madhye vijane virsishta baleva kanya vilalapa Sita. I mean, just the imagery is painful. Kantara madhye, in the middle of a forest. There's a recent movie by the name Kantara, which means forest. Kantara madhye vijane. Vijane, without any other human being, without, we can even say without any other being, all desolate, vrisishta. Visishta means all left alone. Baleva kanya vilalapa Sita. Vilalapa, completely pining, weeping, in severe distress. Baleva kanya. He didn't say kanya, he says baleva kanya. Kanya can also mean an adolescent girl. But baleva, little tiny girl. Imagine being a little child and left in a forest. Sometimes I've heard that parents, they want to, I guess, teach their child a lesson, and so they subject them to some sorts of punishment. One of the punishments is to leave them in a room, a dark room, and close the door. Although it's the house, although the rest of the family members are there, the very fact that the child is all alone in the room with the lights off is extremely scary. Now, take that and think of a little child all alone in a forest with nobody there. That is her anxiety. Now, that is from a rasa perspective he's giving us, but Ramayana is also true from a tattva perspective. The tattva is Kantara madhye vijane virsishta, where the Atma is in the middle of this forest-like existence, in reference to Srimad Bhagavatam, and sitting inside this body of Lanka, all vilalapa, because is in an unhappy condition. Of course, the conditioning is such that the living entity tries different things to make itself happy, but that happiness is very, very time-bound and grade-bound. It cannot make the soul happy. It can give some idea of relief for a short moment of time. At the best, it's some sort of distraction for a very short time. So in the middle of this, Sita then says, Satyam batedam pravadanti loke na akala mrityur bhavati santaha yatra ahamevam paribhrashtasya manah jivami dina kshanamapi apunyaha. She says, alas, bata, oh, alas, although I am being treated like this in this condition of life, I'm remembering the words of great saints, Santaha. They have pravadanti, they have spoken something that is very true, Satyam. And that is, na akala mrityum bhavati iti. These santas, these great souls have told us that there is nothing called untimely death. Although people use the word, oh, this is untimely. Actually, philosophically speaking, there is no untimely death. Yatra aham evam paribhratya samana. I am all left alone, paribhratyasya manah, yet in a very pitiable condition, and I'm surprised, jivami dina kshanamapi. I'm even alive for a moment. Why don't I die? And she says, apunya, because there is not enough piety in me. The fantastic thing about Sita Devi is that Valmiki gives us a little, in this chapter, the considerations of a sadhaka, the ideal or how one must be. And he also gives us a picture of how things happen in the world, in the life of a sadhaka, and what kind of considerations the sadhaka might make. She never said, Ramachandra doesn't care for me. She is not doubting his love, although we will see that that will also come up. She is saying, I am apunya. I don't have enough piety in me, and therefore my body doesn't just end with all of this distress. Dina, I'm helpless. And within the word Dina is the indicator of Dainya. It's her humility, but it is also a sadhaka's reality. And she says, Sukhad Vihinam. I am bereft of any happiness. Bahudukha Purnam. And I'm full of immense distress or sadness. Idam tu nunam hridayam sthiram me. And how is it possible that my heart is still sthiram, beating, and as if nothing has happened? How hard can my heart be that with so much distress and the absence of any happiness, which means in the absence of Sri Ramachandra, my heart is still steady? Sthiram me nunam. How is it? Isn't it? Nunam is a word generally we say nunam is, isn't it? Vishiryate yanna sahasradha adya vishishrate. It's not imploding or explode. It's not imploding yanna sahasrada into 1,000 pieces. Vajra hatam shringam ivaschalasya. My heart has become so hard that it is not exploding into pieces. It is still very, very strongly firm and hard, just like the peak of a mountain remains as it is even when struck by lightning. Vajra hatam shringam iva achalasya. Achala is a mountain. Shringa means the crown or the peak. My heart is very hard-hearted, very hard. Naivasti dosho mamanuna matra vadyaham asya apriyadarshanasya bhavam na chasyaham anupradatum alam dvijo mantram iva adhijaya. And she says, now at this condition, if I kill myself, vadyaham, nunam atra, for sure there will not be any dosha, any fault. Naiva asti dosha mama, nunam atra vadyaham. Why? Asya apriyadarshanasya. I'm whatever condition I'm looking at is so horrendous. Bhavam na chasyaham. As far as Ravana is considered, bhavam, there is absolutely no feelings for him. There is nothing in my heart that attracts me the least to Ravana. Anupradatum, I will never consent to his proposals. In my heart, there is no such consideration. And therefore, I will not be blamed if I die, because Dvijo mantram iva advijaya. Ravana is like an advija, not a brahmana. And I, just as a brahmana, will be very hesitant, in fact, will not even give a mantra to someone who's not Brahmanical. They hold it very, very secretively. So my love that I have, the capacity to love, I will not give under any condition to Ravana. It is meant for Sri Ramachandra. So now if I give up my life, there is no fault here. The fault is not here because indirectly this looks like suicide, but it is not. Because Ravana has already threatened that in 2 months, I am going to eat you up for breakfast if you don't accept my proposal to become my queen. So the clock is ticking for her. that in 2 months' time. But there is a consideration. The Rakshasis who are surrounding her are not inclined to wait for 2 months. They are thinking of eating her up right now. And Ravana wouldn't mind it. So that's a second consideration, that there is no really 2 months. It can be any moment. And a third consideration is, who can trust Ravana? He said 2 months. He might just come in the next hour, next part of the day, tomorrow morning, whatever, and say, enough is enough. I have waited too much. So my life is going to end anyway. I would rather end it on my own without this horrible fellow touching me. I don't want him to touch even my dead body, because if he has to eat me, he has to touch my flesh. Even after I'm dead, I don't want him to touch even that. So I want to give up my life. Nunam mama anganya achirad anaryaha. She says, if achirad, this time is going to move fast. If Sri Ramachandra does not come, tasmin na agachati lokanathe. And he's not just my Natha, Lokanatha. He's the Lord of the entire universe. If he does not come, na agachati. Garbhas tatha jantor iva shalya kranataha. She says that if Ramachandra does not come quickly, this fellow, Anaryaha, Angani, all my limbs, Achirad, very quickly, Shastrair, Shitaish, Chetsyati. He will cut my limbs with a very sharp instrument, just like Garbha, inside the womb, a baby is removed by cutting the womb. So this is like C-section. We know that Indra had entered the womb of Diti because she had made a mistake, and that one womb he cut into 7 parts. And when that embryo didn't die, he cut each part again into 7 parts and became 49 little embryos, and they were all crying, please don't kill us, don't kill us. The instrument Indra used was a very sharp instrument to cut the embryo. I said C-section for the fact that sometimes for the health of the mother and the child, doctors perform C-section. That's one way of looking at it. With a very sharp instrument, garbha, the womb is cut. Another is the sense of abortion. That's what Indra wanted to do for Diti. And she's saying this Ravana mercilessly. She calls him Rakshasendra and she calls Ramachandra Lokanatha. So she says, Dukkham batedam mama dukkhitaya masau chiraya adhigamisyato dvav. My distress is not going to see any end. These 2 months are going to move fast. Chiraya adhigamisyato dvav. Baddhasya vadhyasya tatha nishante raja paradhaiva raja aparadhiva taskarasya. That just the way a person who has offended the king is banished from the kingdom and killed at early in the morning, Nisha Ante. Nisha is night and Ante is when the night ends, which is early in the morning. If you noticed, all hanging or in America, capital punishment through injections, I think they inject poison or something, is all done in the early hours. dukham badetam mama dukkhitaya baddhasya badhyasya tatha nishante raja aparadha iva taskarasya. So who knows, next early morning this fellow Ravana may just kill me. And in that sadness, she is calling out loudly, Ha Rama, Ha Lakshmana, Ha Sumitre, Ha Rama Mataha, Sahame Jananyaha. Last time when this verse or a similar verse came, the question was asked, why is she not calling out to her own family as well? So here she has heard the questioner's request, and so now she's saying, Sahame Jananya, also my own mother. She's calling out to Ramachandra, Lakshmana, Sumitra, Kausalya, and her own mother. Esha vipadyami aham alpa bhagya. My fortune is very, very tiny. It's limited. Alpa bhagya. Esha vipadyami. I am in such unfortunate, difficult condition. Vipadi. Kunti Devi says, right? Vipada sa tasastu tatva tatra tatra jagat guru. Let hundreds of vipadas come. So she is the same word vipada. Esha vipadyami aham alpa bhagavya. Maharnave nau iva mudhavata. I'm like a tiny boat that is in a big ocean and being completely beaten and swayed by fierce winds. Mudha vata. Mudha means reckless wind. We're all in the ocean of material existence. We're all being hit by the three tapas. They're called tapatraya. Distress due to one's own body and mind, distress due to someone else's body and mind, and distress due to higher order disturbances, famine, earthquake, flooding, etc., etc. And she says, Tarasvinau dharayatam mrigasya satvena rupam manujendra putro. These two are like massive lions in a forest. Yet, maybe that these two, Rama and Lakshmana, may have been hit by lightning and may have died. Or may have been killed by that creature who came in the disguise of a deer, because I had told them to go after. I told Sri Ramachandra, go after this deer. I want it under any circumstances. And when we heard Ramachandra's voice, oh Lakshmana, oh Sita, I sent Lakshmana to go after. Maybe that deer, as they had advised me, that's actually a Rakshasa, may have killed both of them. Is that possible? Is that something that might have happened? And it was all my fault. On my Nunam Vishastau Mama Karanat. Mama Karanat, on my account, because of me. Simha Rishabhau Dva Viva Vaidyutena. Or they may have been struck by lightning. Vaidyutena, Vidyut means electricity or lightning. They may have been hit, although they are lion-like two beings. Maybe Sri Ramachandra and Lakshmana have been killed. Or otherwise, there is no explanation of why they're not here. And from here, we will see Sita Devi's words now go into considering whether all that she has done, whether all that she has borne with all this distress is worthwhile. This is the likening of a doubt or a series of doubts that a sadhaka can get when they're in a lot of distress, but they don't see the reciprocation of the Lord. So then the question is it worth it? Is it of any use? There are so many people who throw money or this or that and solve their problems. I am the one who said, oh, only Sri Ramachandra has to save me. Only Sri Krishna. I'm so surrendered. Is it worth it? So then she's saying, I'm being distressed by time. Actually, it's not so much of a demon. Maybe it was time who had taken the form of a deer to allure me and separate me from Sri Ramachandra. Nunam sakalo mrigarupadhari. Mam alpa bhagyam lulubhe tadanim. It was time, because everybody in this world is subject to time, and time brings happiness and distress. It brings the fruits of karma for everybody. That's how time is. Time moves, and while it is moving, it is bringing to us the fruits, the seeds we had sown previously. Those seeds become fructified, and it becomes prarabdha karma. So she's saying, actually, it was time in the form of that deer. And alpa bhagya, I had really very little fortune. And because of that, I made a wrong choice, which is nice. The way she's going through it. Yatra Aryaputram Visasarja Mudha Ramanujam Lakshmana Purvajam Cha. Very beautiful verse. Yatra Aryaputram Visasarja Mudha. It was very, very foolish on my part. Mudha. I'm very foolish. That Aryaputram Visasarja. I sent away one great soul after another. And she says, Ramanujam. First, she uses the word Ramanujam Lakshmana Purvajam Cha. So she refers to Lakshmana as Ramanujam. Then she refers to Ramachandra as Lakshmana Purvaja. I mean, one may say she could have just said Lakshmana and Rama. True. But what is the beauty if within poetry we don't get philosophy as well? So she says, this verse talks about our condition, Mudha, that my foolishness was such that I turned my face away from them, or I sent them away. And the reason she refers to Lakshmana as Ramanuja first, although the name Rama comes first, she's referring to Lakshmana, Ramanujam, one who follows Rama. And Lakshmana Purvajam, one who leads Lakshmana. Literally, Purvajam means one who's born before. A sadhaka, whenever they remember a guru or a sadhu, they always must remember in relation to the Supreme Lord. Therefore, she's referring to Lakshmana as Ramanujam. And whenever one thinks of Supreme Lord Sri Ramachandra or Krishna, must always be remembered in reference to their devotees. So here she's calling Ramachandra as Lakshmana Purvajam. Dasarathi is another name for Ramachandra, the son of Dasharatha. Kausalya Anandavardhanam, the one who increases the joy of Kausalya, Sri Ramachandra. Similarly, Krishna has such names: Devaki Nandana, Yashoda Nandana, Nanda Nandana, always in reference to his devotees. This is proper. This is how once Srila Prabhupada was asked, when I am chanting the holy names of the Mahamantra, who should I think of? Should I think of Guru or should I think of Krishna? And Prabhupada's answer was, how can you see one, or how can you think of one without the other? As soon as you think of Krishna, It means Guru's already there. Because without Guru's instruction and mercy, how does one know anything about Krishna? In fact, who is Krishna? And when you think of Guru, how can you not think of the Supreme Lord? They're not two separate compartments, they're always together. Therefore, Sita is saying Ramanujam Lakshmana Purvajam Cha. Ha Rama Satyavrata Dirghabaho. Ha Rama, oh Sri Ramachandra, Satyavrata, you are fixed in truth. Dirghabaho, you have very long, powerful arms. Ha Purna Chandra Pratima Navaktra, you have the form like that of a full moon, very pleasing. So she's calling all these words Satyavrata. You have made a vow that whoever is under your shelter will never perish. So please help me. Dirghabaho, you're not some weak person. You have very strong arms. So please use them to relieve me of this condition. Ha Purna Chandra Purna Chandra Pratimana Vaktra. My heart is burning. And you, like the full moon, please appear and make my heart cool down. Najiva lokasya hita priyascha vadhyam namam vetsi hi rakshasanam. Namam vetsi. Are you not aware that my condition is in such horrendous condition? In the middle of all these Rakshasas, and I'm ready to give up my life. And ha jivalokasya hitaha. You are concerned about the welfare of all living beings. Priyascha, and you love all living beings. They love you very much. Are you not aware that I'm ready to kill myself? Vadhyam na mam vetsi, don't you know? Ananya daivatvam iyam kshamacha bhumau cha shayya niyamascha dharme pativratatvam viphalam mamedam kritam kritagneshviva manushana. Oh, now her pain is becoming even more intense. She says, Ananya Daivatvam Iyam. I do not have any other shelter. You are my only Devata. Right? We've heard in Bhagavad Gita the phrase unalloyed devotion. So she's saying, I'm not like anyone else who has so many masters. They go for some need to this devata, from that need to another devata, for this need to a devi, a little from everybody. I am not like that. Ananya daivatam. You are my own. I don't have any other shelter. Kshama. I have been so forbearing and tolerant. I have tolerated so much. Bhumau cha shayya, and I've been lying down on the bare ground. Niyamascha, I've been following all the strict rules. And the rules are the boundaries given to me by dharma. As your wife, as your devotee, as a woman, as a living being. Dharme, I am very fixed in dharma. Pativratatvam. I have made my vows exactly what your vows are. You had made a vow to come to the forest. I made a vow to follow your vow. This is my pativrata. That means I do not have a desire separate from your desire. All my desires are your desires. Viphalam mama idam. All of that is being wasted today. It's all a waste. Kritam kritagneshu iva manushanam. just like an ungrateful person does not recognize how much service has been rendered to them. Here, she's referring to Ramachandra as if he is ungrateful. Now, from a rasa perspective, it is the pining of a lover for her beloved. So, in that love, as Mana, she can say certain things and it's not offensive. You bring it down to Tattva level. And in Tattva level is where it becomes relevant to us as spiritual practitioners. Sometimes when the distress is too hard or one doesn't feel that the Lord is there for them, one can't feel it, then they take stock of all that they have offered as service to the Lord and says, how can you be so ungrateful? I've done so much for you. And why is this relationship only one-sided? Show me some indication that you care. Show me some indication that you're there. So show me some indication that you're hearing to my appeals. Is all of these things that I have done? You're my exclusive shelter. I've followed all these rules. I've lived by dharma. I've become so forbearing. I've been tolerating all the pushings that are there. For what? I've taken so much austerity. For what? She's saying, Bhumau cha shayya. She's been lying down on the ground. The austerities we take. We are asked by Prabhupada to follow the 4 regulative principles. Of course, we say no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. That's just very much on the bare prohibitions level. In one sense, I won't say in all sense, in one sense, from a day-to-day, that's what it is. But actually, the 4 regulative principles are an even higher request or a command, which is what is difficult. To live by mercy. That's not easy. Every day to meet every living entity and to live by being merciful. Not easy. To be clean inside and outside. Not easy. To be austere and to be truthful. That's a big, and devotees live like that. Practitioners live like that. So it takes a lot. Niyamascha, one follows. I follow Ekadashi. I follow fasting on certain days. There are some other persons who follow even stronger rules. Following dharma takes a lot. Yet, viphalam, it's all fruitless. It has not borne any fruit. Just like kritam kritagneshu eva manusha. It's like offering service to an ungrateful person. And all my devotion has become wasted. Mogha hi dharmascharito mayayam. Tathaika patnim, tathaika patnitvamidam nirartham. I have been your ekapatni. Nirartham has no meaning. Now, all living beings, the souls are all patni because we're all energy of the Lord. So the thing about love for Krishna or love for Sri Ramachandra has a very unique feature to it. In the world, when it comes to love, we say, I have exclusive love for this person. And the expectation is that that person also has exclusive love for me. Otherwise, it's hard. But when it comes to Sri Krishna or Sri Ramachandra, the Supreme Lord, one cannot demand that. We can only say that my love for you is exclusive, but your love cannot be, should not be, and I don't expect it to be exclusive for me. Because in this world, the persons that we are saying we love are very limited in their capacity to love. So exclusivity is the only way by which love can be expressed. But we cannot force that exclusivity on the Supreme Lord, because he can love, and he does love, every living being in creation to fullest extent possible. So we ask sometimes, oh, I want exclusive, but it's never like that. It should not be like that. So she's saying, Tathaika eka patnim ivam idam nirartham. My exclusivity is nirartham, has no meaning anymore. Ya tvam na pashyami krisha vivarna hinatvaya sangamane nirasha. I am completely separated from you. I'm emaciated. I have become pale. I've lost all strength. And I have absolutely no hope of reuniting with you. Nirasha sangamane. But you are possibly that type that actually from your side, you're doing your part. Because pitru nirdesham niyamena kritva. You followed the rule of, obeying your father. Your father said, go to the forest for 14 years. Very soon that 14 years are going to get over. You will go back to Ayodhya because you followed your rule. Vanan nivrittas charitas vratascha. And you took this vow, vrata, that I will roam around in the forest, which you've done. Stribhitsu manye vipulekshana bhitsvam ramshase vita bhayaha kritartha. Now you will go back fearlessly to Ayodhya and enjoy with all the women there. Now, some people say she's giving Ramachandra that, oh, you can get married to anybody you like, which is true. He can as a Kshatriya. But he has taken a Eka Patni Vrata. So the women she's talking about here is all of Ramachandra's mothers, the 365 queens of Dasharatha, that he will be in their company. And all the servants that are there. So you may forget me completely. Aham tu Rama tvayijat kama chiram vinashasya nibaddha bhava. I concentrated and gave all my love to you for a very long time. For what? Vinashaya, for my own ending. It has been completely destroyed. Mogham charitvatha tapovritancha tyakshami dvig jitvam alpabhagyam. For this, I am going to completely give up this useless life, because it has been no value. I will end my life at once by taking poison or killing myself with a sharp weapon. But my condition is so unfortunate that there is nobody here who will give me poison or who will give me a weapon by which I can kill myself. Itiva Devi Bahuda Vilapya. And immediately, before we get any wrong ideas about Sita Devi or her chastity, Valmiki inserts this word, Devi, Itiva, Devi, Bahuda, Vilapya. That means her love is very, very unique and exclusive. One should not consider her love to be material. But there is a lot of tattva for us in this. So Sita Devi crying in all these ways, constantly remembering Rama. Sarvatmana Rama Manusmaranti. Pravepamana Parishushka Bhaktra. Paravepamana. She was shivering. Parishushka. Her throat had become completely dry. But Sarvatmana. Sarva Atmana means in her mind, in her body, and the soul, all were constantly remembering Sri Ramachandra. Nagottamam Pushpitam Asasada. She went to the great branch of the great Shimshupa tree. And while she's burning in this constant remembrance of Ramachandra in separation, she saw her single braided hair, put it round her neck, and put it round the branch of the tree, which means she was ready to hang herself. Upasthitha sa mridu sarvagatri shakham grihatva adha nagasya tasya. So she put everything, she put the braid of hair on the branch and round her neck. Tasyastu ramam parivichintayantya. Her mind is only thinking of Sri Ramachandra. Ramanujam swam chakulam shubhangya. Shubha Angya. She has very auspicious limbs. And she's thinking about Ramanujam. She's thinking of Sri Rama and Lakshmana. But all in reference to Ramachandra. Ramam, Ramanujam, both of them. And in this condition, when she's about to give up her life, suddenly in her body there appeared certain symptoms or indicators of auspiciousness. So all of that wailing that Ramachandra, you're not even caring for me, when that this is the reciprocity that Ramachandra is hinting to her through some bodily signs, that some good omens, that very soon all her distress will be eliminated. And the particular thing here is her left eye twitched, her left shoulder twitched, and her left thigh twitched. And this verse is exactly previous chapter where Trijata tells the Rakshasis, can you see her left eye is twitching, her left shoulder and left thigh are twitching. So although the chapters are one after the other, the episode, in my opinion, is not linear or in time lapse. It is happening simultaneously. It's just first the camera was with the Rakshasis and Trijata. Now the camera is moved to Sita Devi. But it is at that moment when Trijata is expressing the dream that she saw, Sita Devi, in all her consideration, is tying herself to the branch of the Shimshupa tree. And suddenly some auspicious signs appeared that tells her heart that no, very soon things will get better. So that's where we'll end with chapter 28. And let's see if there are any questions or comments or reflections. Beautiful chapter, huh? Anything?
Hare Krishna. This is Nanti here.
Yes, Radhaduti.
Thank you very much. Such a beautiful chapter and for your amazing class. Two questions, Prabhu. One is that when Mother Sita asked Lakshmana to go after Sri Ramachandra and there was some harsh words spoken, how did Lakshmana feel about it later on? Just from a living entity perspective, and I see how Mother Sita is kind of in some way repenting, doing that, and kind of going over it. So I'm seeing here she's blaming herself also, and then she's considering time and several other factors. So just want to get some suggestion on how to consider things when harsh words are spoken to you, well as when you speak to other people, then I'm not sure if I'm able to put my question properly. Does it make sense?
I'm going to respond. You tell me if I caught on to what you were asking.
Okay.
Because, so let's talk from a rasa perspective first. Okay, so then we can keep that aside. It's all a jumble, right? One of the 10 features is mada, just and speaking incoherently in one sense, and speaking some things that perhaps don't make sense. That's a feature of this very heightened vipralambha. In 2 classes ago, I gave that verse where Rupa Goswami says that there are 10 features, dasha. So one of them is there, and it's not like they all act very individually. It's a jumble, but in that she's saying, "Do you care for me?" And then she says, "Oh, maybe it's me. I am the one who sent them. Had I not coveted or craved or asked for the deer, I would not be in this situation." So she's taking stock of how she's contributed to it. And then all the things about, I've been an Eka Patni Vrata, I've been an Eka Patni, I've followed your Vrata, I've followed Dharma, and none of it has made any sense. Actually, it has become fruitless. It's her, in Sanskrit, the word is called pranaya. Pranaya means intense love. And in intense love, some sharp things are said. If you go to the works of our Gaudiya Goswamis, you will see that in Mana, Srimati Radharani will say some stuff to Krishna that's like, wow, Lalita and Vishaka will call names and say things to Krishna. But it is pranaya. It is to intensify their love, and it's in love and separation. So that's that part. Now let's take to the tattva. How did Lakshmana react when Sita spoke like that? He had tears in his eyes, and he had turned around and gone, because if he stayed, things could get worse. And sometimes when someone is being offensive, if the person who's being offended continues in that dialogue, then the offenses become even more heightened. So Lakshmana thought it best to just walk away from the situation, because he first reasoned with her. None of it is true. Ramachandra cannot be killed by anyone. That is the voice of a demon. I cannot abandon my the order that I've been given by Sri Ramachandra. He did everything. And she went on after another and accused him, to the point where she questioned his fidelity. Now, that's a very, very grave thing when anybody questions someone else's fidelity, or whether they have even bhakti or not. It's a grave, it's a very dangerous area. As soon as she touched that, Lakshmana left. Now, let's go back to the rasa aspect or the leela aspect, where as long as Lakshmana is there, Ravana cannot enter the scene. So she, who's the actual orchestrator of the entire pastime, and Ramachandra and Lakshmana are considered nimitta or instruments, she had to make sure that Lakshmana leaves. And the only thing that will make Lakshmana move is if his fidelity is questioned. Anything else is like, I don't care. So she as the main orchestrator, got Lakshmana out of the picture from a Leela perspective. Tattva is Lakshmana represents Guru Tattva. A person starts to doubt the words of the authenticity of the Guru when their own life becomes filled with desires. And that makes the living entity turn away. And when one turns away from the Supreme Lord, then they also turn away from the representative of the Supreme Lord. And so Lakshmana is also out of the picture. But from Lakshmana's perspective, does he have any grudge for her or towards her? Absolutely not. He is also in severe distress. that Sita Devi is not found. Ramachandra is completely out of his mind as far as Sita is concerned. We have not heard that yet. Hanuman is going to be the one who will tell Sita Devi the very deplorable condition Ramachandra is in. The Supreme Lord cares for every living being. And then Lakshmana wants to fulfill that desire that the living entity is united back. So he does all things that he does. That's, I thought I heard your question. Tell me if it addressed what you were asking.
I think so, Prabhu. Yes, I'll rehear this and gather my thoughts again. But thank you so much.
Okay.
I got definitely more clarity.
Okay.
And thank you. Can I ask one more? I don't know if
Sure.
others have a question. Oh, sure, Prabhu. And so this is like more from like a practical point of view. So sometimes I've experienced that, there's like a certain pattern going on. I see again same pattern coming up. So there's like question that I ask, okay, what can I do? I see this pattern. And sometimes even after asking for a long time, maybe I'm just so ignorant, I'm not able to like see what to do in that kind of circumstance, like what steps to take. So sometimes I kind of feel like I don't know if Krishna is really answering me, or is just like I just need to be like more patient, which probably is true in any given situation. But how to kind of keep going, one thing in those circumstances, and second is to how to really look for Lord's answers, or like things to work upon ourselves.
So I'm going to say two things. One is from the side of grace. Okay. At points of being stuck or not knowing how to go forward or whichever direction to go when one is not clear, then that's the time to call for grace. Actually, it's always the time to call for grace, particularly in these times. It's important to call for grace. And let's look to our hero, Sri Hanumanji, who has the capacity of wind, insurmountable power, all of that. And he came to Lanka. But he searched to every square inch, but couldn't find her. At that time, here's a very beautiful prayer that he offered. So we're going to just take half of that shloka. Namostu Ramaya sa Lakshmanaya Devyai cha tasmai janakatmajaya. That's the first half of the prayer. And the acharyas tell us that immediately when he couldn't find, after all the effort that he made, there was no solution. He couldn't find. Time was running away. He didn't know what to do. He cannot go back. He doesn't know how to go forward. And so he says, Namostu Ramaya sa Lakshmanaya. I offer my prayers or obeisances unto Sri Ramachandra, Lakshmanaya. So you can say Guru, Guru Tattva, Sadhus, all of them. And then he has to find Sita Devi. And he needs her grace. Without her grace, nothing is going to happen. Because we cannot approach the Lord without the grace of his consort. So he tells Sita Devi that he has never met, Devyai cha tasmai, Devyai, unto that Devi. So the word Devi comes from the root Div, which means to glow. So he says Devyai means, oh Sita Devi, you reveal yourself. You become effulgent so I can see you. Devyai, tasmai, and the reference is Janakatmajaya. Janakatmajayai, unto. He calls her Janaka Atmaja, the daughter of Janaka, because for Janaka Maharaj, Sita revealed herself. She was not born from the womb. She revealed herself. So just the way you revealed yourself to that great devotee Janaka, O Devi, please become effulgent and reveal yourself to me. So grace reveals path forward, whatever that path is, forward, little bit step, that without that grace. So it is easy to look for solutions, but as devotees, we are urged to look for grace, not solution. Solution will be the natural outcome of grace. So that's one. Second, is connected to the first, is to the basics. The basics are that, like Arjuna, who was in complete quandary, any path wouldn't manifest unless one's vantage from where they're looking at. So I'm not referring to you that you're not looking at it from this vantage. So I'm not making it personal. I'm speaking general, that when one is at this vantage, the view is only this much. But if the vantage is here, the picture becomes bigger. For the past 1 week, I've been every day making a conscious effort to think about what I call the big context. Big context. It's easy to get caught in day-to-day, like really insignificant things. But when you see those in the context of the grand scheme of life, certain things become so contextualized that a path seemingly which was difficult may reveal itself differently. I'm not this body. I'm a soul. I'm a servant of Krishna. I'm just passing through this life in the grand scheme of time and life. And where am I? Where am I going? What is these things? What is the context I see? This distress, that difficulty, this person. Where do they all fit in? Helps things, like I said, contextualize, or the perspective may help find something as well. So basics, mercy or grace, and context. I hope that addresses partly. Of course, I don't know the specifics, so I can't say, but
Thank
yeah.
you so much. Thank you, Prabhu. Really helpful. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Krita Lakshana usually have something. Oh, he's not there.
Hi, Krishna Prabhu.
Yes. Krita.
I was just reflecting on few messages that Mother Sita's awareness, that she was present in her body to even feel the twitching, and then the way she was processing. Usually, I'm so caught up in the fight, flight, or the freeze response to go to the awareness, and the processing happens very rarely for me. So I was just appreciating to hear and have Mother Sita as the role model, where she can be aware and process things. Also appreciating the devotees that Krishna has given me in my life, who are helping me, showing by example how in different situations they can process and be aware of what's happening, like you were saying, holding the big picture and not like being caught up with the small things. So just appreciating. Thank you.
Thank you. Being present is very, very helpful. And we're all on that journey of learning to be present. Some are more, some are less. All right. Anything else before we end?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, Sarvabhauma Prabhu, go ahead.
Please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhu, one quick question. In terms of relationship with Krishna, so as we say, as we also have mentioned here, that devotee says that, Lord, I am exclusively for you, but it's up to you. I mean, everybody has relationship with you, which is the way it is. But in terms of mamata, it, when the devotee has relationship or thinks in that way, processes in that way, how is it different? Is it the same way or it's different?
Yeah, Mamata is Krishna, I am yours, you are mine. But that does not negate that Krishna, there are so many others also. You know, as I've been reading this chapter, something I've been thinking about is, let's take Ramachandra and we'll take Krishna's example as well. Sita and Ramachandra are together in the forest. Of course, their love is fantastic. But we never find Sita restricting Ramachandra from showing his affection to Lakshmana, to Guha, to Hanuman, to all the residents of Ayodhya, all the maid servants, this one, that one. Never. Because the capacity of Ramachandra is that every living being feels completely satisfied and fulfilled. Okay. Now, I can elaborate more, but now let's take the picture of Sri Krishna for a moment. He's standing under the tree, Kadamba tree. It is the full moon of Sharad, which is coming soon, and he's playing his flute. It's not that only one gopi ran towards him. Hundreds and thousands of gopis ran to meet him. And they're all staying in the same village of Vraja. So it's not like, they never saw each other. As they're running, they're seeing others also running. They're all drawn by that flute sound of Krishna's. None of them stops and says, oh, really? So many? Oh my gosh. No. They know that Krishna can satisfy their heart completely, and Dhavans and everybody else's too. They all run together to meet him. That is who he is. So Mamata does not negate or remove the capacity of the Lord to shelter anybody and everybody. But there is, for me, you're exclusive. Just because you have so many doesn't mean I can have so many. Indra, that one, this one, that one. No, you're my exclusive, Shant. My love for you is exclusive. Your love for me is inclusive. Everybody is there. That is being non-envious love.
Thank you for the clarification. Correct.
All right, 9:44 for me. But thank you for being here. I will text you whether we will have classes for the next couple of weeks, because there is Yatra, Udupi Yatra. Some of you may be going, some of us will be hearing online. So it's still unclear, but WhatsApp, I will inform everyone. Until then, let's get inspired by the amazing love of Sita Devi. Let's get inspired by Valmiki putting in front of us exactly the movements of a sadhaka's mind and heart. And if we ever get a doubt that looks like this, then we be assured that the Lord doesn't have to be physically there, but he can indicate to us that he's listening, and that with time, things will move and look differently. And we continue to be focused on nourishing and enriching our relationship and of service with him and all of his wonderful, wonderful devotees. Shri Sita Rama Lakshman Hanuman Ji ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki